Now I got something to show you, and it's gonna be something momentous. Hello everybody, it's me, the Excellent Reviewer, aka Wrestling's #1 Hype Man, and yeah, I'm wearing a tank top. It's freaking hot here in California, but we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that at all. We are here to talk about Great Balls of Fire, and what a hell of a show it was. So without further ado, let's get down to it. The first show, I'm technically counting it as the first match, was the pre-show match, and that was Akira Tozawa against Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. Generally, I thought it was a really good match. Neville is always amazing. He's always the best and the top of the game of what he is at the Cruiserweight division. And, of course, he beat Akira Tozawa. And he's going to hold on to that Cruiserweight title for at least 100 years? I'm going to say at least 100 years because Neville is just that damn good. And apparently, there is going to be a rematch, or Akira Tozawa wants a rematch. If anything, that will definitely live up to the hype just as much as Austin Aries against Neville was. Yeah, I'm being a little bit of a smart now, aren't I? After that, we had Seth Rollins against Bray Wyatt, which officially started off the event as the first official match. Pretty damn good. It was pretty damn good. Both with Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt working really well together. It started picking up towards the end of the match, in my opinion, and Bray Wyatt ended up picking up the win after he, poked Seth Rollins in the eye, and he ended up picking up the win just as I had predicted, because guess what? Bray Wyatt, he just definitely needs this more than anyone. Yeah, good match, good solid match between Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins. After that, we had Enzo Amore, the certified G and the bona fide stud, and you can't teach that, against Big Cass. Now, this was honestly one of the most anticipated and highly emotional matches on the card. Before the match even started, Enzo gave a huge inspirational speech to the people in the crowd. And here comes Big Cass. Here he comes. And not once did Enzo Amore seem threatening, because he was, murdered. Big Cass completely destroyed him. One of my favorite spots of that match was the Gorilla Press Slam to the outside, big boot, and that was it. Big Cass has made his statement. Big Cass is here to stay. And what I found interesting was the fact that the commentary team sort of billed this as, oh, it's just one and done. They're saying, now we have to talk about what's next for Enzo Amore. What's going to happen next, Enzo Amore? And honestly, I could go for a few more matches with these two guys, because guess what? It's not just going to be one and done. There will be more matches, because that is how you get a great story. But in the end, Big Cass picked up a convincing and dominant win against Enzo Amore tonight at Great Balls of Fire. Sheamus and Cesaro against the Hardy Boys for the Raw Tag Team Championships in a 30-minute Iron Man Tag Team match. And truly an amazing tag team match. Cesaro and Sheamus, they ended up picking up the first win very quickly when Cesaro distracted Matt Hardy, allowing for Sheamus to hit the brogue pick and go for the win. Generally, this match was really, really well done, especially in building up the suspense throughout the match of whether or not Matt and Jeff Hardy can pick up the wins. They can pick up the numbers, because at a certain point it was down to 3-1, and it was just generally a really good match. Matt Hardy got busted open at one point. I didn't even see where he got busted open, but next thing you know, his eyebrow right here there's blood all over his face. And it was just really an amazing tag team match. And just as though, it seems as though just as though it seems as though it's been tied up and that the Hardys are going to get the win. That's when you realize that Sheamus was not the man in, and that Cesaro was the legal man. He pins Jeff Hardy, making it 4-3, and all he does is he runs around the ring, just avoiding the clock, and Sheamus and Cesaro are our new tag team champions. They've retained their tag team championships in an amazing tag team match between Cesaro and Sheamus and the Hardy Boys. After that, we had Alexa Bliss defending her Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks. Now, one of the things that I loved about it and that everybody saw was where Alexa Bliss did her broken arm thing, her broken arm thing, and then she fools Sasha Banks, ended up hitting her really, really good, and a stellar match between both of these female competitors. They have a lot of back and forth action between them, and you don't really know who's going to pick up the victory, and it could be a match that could main event a pay-per-view, just as Sasha Banks did with Charlotte all those years ago. But, and this is the thing, I could see how people get angry about it, but I'm going to say my opinions on it. It was the fact that Sasha Banks ended up winning with a countout, and I could see how that could get some people cross, but honestly, I think it is a good booking decision because you have Alexa Bliss sort of be the coward heel, and you have her retain the title through this way that makes her seem as though it's a coward, and that way you can continue the feud. You can continue the feud of what's going to happen, and Sasha Banks was having none of it. Sasha Banks then ended up attacking Alexa Bliss. They were threatening to do the DDT onto the table, but Sasha Banks pushed Alexa Bliss off, did her knees from atop of the announce table to the pit arena down there, and Sasha Banks was coming out on top. But unfortunately, Alexa Bliss is still our women's champion on Raw. But other than that, really, really good and stellar match. The Miz defended his Intercontinental Championship against Dean Ambrose. I mean, it was alright. I mean, there were a couple of cool moments, and it ended up with Miz retaining his Intercontinental Championship with the help of Maurice and the Miz-Tourage. Definitely, I felt as though it was the weakest card. It was the weakest match on the card. It was alright. There wasn't anything bad about it. It just wasn't anything special. And the other matches on the card did top it severely. So it was definitely the weakest match on the card. And we get to the big one. Roman Reigns against Braun Strowman in an ambulance match. Now, these two, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, they put on a stellar, an amazing match, and they have put on one of the best matches that I have seen the Raw pay-per-view do in quite a while. There was this great moment where Braun Strowman is getting hit with steel chairs by Roman Reigns, and he says, "Hit it again, bitch." He says it again, completely no-selling it. Brutal carnage throughout the match. You never know who exactly was going to win. And one of the best parts was the ending of the match. When the ambulance door is open, and you feel, because Braun Strowman just got hit with an electrical light. You're like, oh, he's going to be speared into there. And guess what? There was a spear. But Braun Strowman moved out of the way just in time, locked up the door, and he officially won the match in an amazing counter, an amazing way to win the match. And now let's get to what happened after the match ended. Roman Reigns did not have any of it. He climbs out of the ambulance, attacks Braun Strowman, puts him into the ambulance, and he drives away. So, camera's following him. What's he gonna do? What is he going to do? He grabs the wheel, backs all the way up into another truck, and everyone lost their mind. Everyone from the announce team, this was the best segment of the night, and one of the best segments that I have ever seen, period, just because it was something unique and it was something out of the ordinary that they were doing. And they had the police and the fire trucks and the firemen, and during this time, they had an impromptu match against Heath Slater and Curt Hawkins. It came out of nowhere, but no one really cared about it, because the main focus was whether or not Braun Strowman was alright. And if you are curious about Heath Slater versus Curt Hawkins, Heath Slater ended up winning the match. But back to Braun Strowman, because that is the news, and that was the segment that stole the show. They spend so much time getting Braun out of the car, out of the ambulance. They finally get it open. Braun comes out. He is he's not really a bloodied mess, but he's got blood in his face, his elbow, almost everywhere in his face. He just comes out and he is a wreck. And they are trying to get him into the cart, but he's having none of it. He's having none of it, and he tries several times to get up on his own. And guess what? In the end, he does. And truly, just the best segment of the night. The best segment of the night was Braun Strowman. And I saw a picture online that said, maybe this is it. This was a double turn. You have Roman Reigns, who technically you could say that he had a little bit of a baby tantrum, attacks Braun Strowman, puts him in the back, backs him up into another car. You have Braun overcoming those odds and still walking out on his own. So maybe this is the double heel turn, but I don't think so. I don't think so, because they would rather book Roman Reigns as being controversial as in turn of a heel. So Braun Strowman not only ended up winning the match, he ended up winning the night. Now we get to the main event. Samoa Joe against Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Going into this match, I just thought it would be a typical Brock Lesnar fashion. Suplex, suplex, suplex. 3 minutes, maybe even less. Match is over, Brock retains. But they actually did something unique, and they did something that was really great. They had Samoa Joe attack Brock Lesnar before the match even started, and he drives him to the outside, hits Samoa Joe hits Brock Lesnar with the Uranagi onto a table, onto the announce table, and Joe quickly is coming out on top. Before the match has even started, Joe has a huge advantage, and that was great storytelling from Samoa Joe and the people at WWE. So he comes into the match, and Brock Lesnar is wounded, obviously being thrown through a table. So he quickly climbs through the ring. He is obviously very hurt, and the match starts, and Samoa Joe quickly attacks Brock Lesnar. Quickly, and it is very, 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 very advantageous for Samoa Joe. And just as though Joe seems that he is on top, that is when Brock Lesnar comes up, suplexes him 3 times, but guess what? Samoa Joe comes back on top, and he is hitting so many great spots. He's obviously has the Coquina Clutch and tries to put it on really early, but Brock manages to find a way out of it. And one of the best match moments was when Samoa Joe, they were up against the ropes, and Joe puts the hands on the referee and he takes him to the side, his side, and then he hits Brock Lesnar with a low blow. That was beautiful. That was beautiful that he did that. Utterly brilliant. There was great back and forth action between these two competitors, and it was an all-out war, and it felt as though generally Brock could lose. He could have lost his Universal title. But after the Coquina Clutch was locked in by Samoa Joe, that's when he was able to counter it. Brock Lesnar got him up, F5, 1, 2, 3, retained his Universal title, and Now, this match wasn't a simple squash match. It wasn't a simple 1, 2, 3. Joe felt like an actual threat. He felt like an actual threat to Brock Lesnar, and he could have taken the title. He could have taken the title. As opposed to Brock Lesnar's past opponents, this felt like a genuine fight and a genuine match, and that Brock Lesnar had to do everything that he could to retain that title. And an amazing match. An amazing match with Brock Lesnar still being our Universal Champion. Well, that was Great Balls of Fire. And honestly, this was one of the best pay-per-views that I have seen in quite a long time. SmackDown dropped the ball with Money in the Bank, but Raw was actually able to pick it up with Great Balls of Fire to have it be one of the best pay-per-views that I have seen in quite a long time. Every single match, aside from Dean Ambrose against The Miz, delivered. Every single match was universally great. And it was something that came out of nowhere, really. And I think that's one of the best parts of it, was that no one really thought it was going to be such a success. And they're just like, oh, Great Balls of Fire. With a name like that, you automatically think it's going to be a B-plus show at best. But this delivered some of the best action tonight. Just with everything that happened with Braun Strowman. Everything that happened with Braun Strowman against Roman Reigns was amazing. Brock Lesnar against Samoa Joe, great. Sheamus and Cesaro against the Hardy Boys in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Simply phenomenal and stunning was this event. And honestly, I can't say that I have been so excited and so happy about an actual WWE event in such a long time, because this truly was an amazing pay-per-view event. And if you guys haven't seen it, go out there and watch it, because it totally lives up to the word that everyone is saying how good it is. Well, that's been it for me, the Excellent Reviewer, aka Wrestling's #1 Hype Man. Do me a favor, let me know what you guys think about Great Balls of Fire if you've seen it in the comments section below. I love hearing what you guys have to say, so do that. And if you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, then make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And I will see you guys as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching and subscribing. I couldn't be here without you. I've been Samuel V, aka the Excellent Reviewer, aka Wrestling's #1 Hype Man, and I will see you all guys as soon as I can.